What I'm about to talk to you guys about is going to be highly controversial and debated, because the film itself, The Last Jedi, is highly controversial and debated. Me? I love the film. I came to grips with the narrative they set forth for Luke, Rey, Kylo, and the Resistance, and it's definitely not what I had in mind, but I have to realize that what I expect and what I have in mind will not match what others have in mind or expect. Thusly, there's a massive problem when it comes to making a Star Wars film. You can't please everyone. And rightly so. There's a divide amongst fans who love or hate the prequels, and now there's a divide amongst fans who love or hate The Last Jedi. What irks me is that fanboys are calling each other fanboys. One fanboy says if you love the movie, you're just a fanboy, to another fanboy, and it's just a vicious circle. What's wrong with being a fan? Why are you a fanboy if you enjoyed the film? Does that make you not a fan and thusly just a hater? Naturally, if you are a fan, you want it to succeed, but at the same time, you have to put aside your wants and expectations and comprehend the narrative they've set forth and force it to make sense for you instead of giving up, which is why I'm doing this video. Lots of people have thrown in the towel already and have accepted that the revelation in The Last Jedi is exactly that, revealed. No odds and ends, no sundries to unwrap, no quarry. I'm here to dispel that notion. Now, if you don't follow me or are new to my channel, I'm a huge proponent for the Rey Kenobi theory, and rightly so, as that video is one of my most popular videos. With that said, this battle isn't over. Before we begin, let me give you a refresher of why I think this is the case. And I'll be concise here because my previous video is of course old, and some of the points I made there have either been debunked or hold little to no ground at this point with new information surfaced. So here we go. Rey's isolation is a clue to who she is. A lot of people will speculate to this being a connection to Luke and Anakin, but forget to mention that Luke and Anakin were not isolated at all. No, they had friends and family. Who was in isolation? Obi-Wan Kenobi, for 30 years on Tatooine. Rey rescues a droid in the desert in possession of intel for the Resistance. Obi-Wan Kenobi rescues R2 in the desert carrying intel for him to help the rebellion. Let's also not forget when she asks BB-8 where it came from and it says classified, she also says, "Me too." Big secret. Rey uses the mind trick.
You will remove these restraints and leave this cell with the door open.
A lot of Jedi have used the mind trick in canon, but not to the success or degree or notoriety that is attached to Obi-Wan Kenobi.
You don't need to see his identification.
We don't need to see his identification.
These aren't the droids you're looking for.
These aren't the droids we're looking for.
Luke used it and failed on Jabba, and Qui-Gon used it and failed on Watto.
I don't have anything else, but credits will do fine.
No, they won't.
Credits will do fine.
No, they won't.
In The Force Awakens, several quotes can be heard, including Yoda explaining the Force to Luke on Dagobah. Only one voice is new, Obi-Wan's calling out to Rey by name, followed by "These are your first steps." Obi-Wan may have guided Rey through Force Awakens. It is possible that she had some insider help. When she uses the mind trick, it surprises her, as if she had no idea it'd work. Where did she learn it? Obi-Wan. When Kylo told Rey in the midst of their fight that she needed a teacher, someone to teach her the ways of the Force, she closes her eyes. What's she doing? Well, she's communing with the one voice that called out to her since her awakening, and the one voice that's been guiding her, Obi-Wan Kenobi. He taught her the mind trick, and now he's telling her, let go your conscious self and act on instinct.
Let go your conscious self and act on instinct. Your eyes can deceive you, don't trust them. Stretch out with your feelings.
Anakin's lightsaber calls to her. Yes, everyone was saying that this was a huge clue, but forgot that Obi-Wan was in possession of said lightsaber for more than 30 years. more than the time that Luke and Anakin had the lightsaber combined. Now, this is a very strong argument because in Star Wars Rebels, Kanan Jarrus' lightsaber calls to Ezra, but they aren't related at all. Listen carefully as well. The music playing when the lightsaber calls to him is the same music that plays when Luke finds Obi-Wan, and it is in fact Obi-Wan's theme.
Look, I know you're not gonna believe me, but it's like this thing wanted me to take it.
He claims to be the property of an Obi-Wan Kenobi. Is he a relative of yours? Do you know who he's talking about?
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
The final duel on Starkiller Base is foreshadowing a rematch between Anakin and Obi-Wan. From their duel on Mustafar, their battle will continue onto Episode 9 in a climactic conclusion that will settle their long-winded history together through their grandchildren, Kylo Ren, grandson of Anakin, Rey, granddaughter of Obi-Wan. Now that we've got all that out of the way, let's talk about the newest information we've gathered from The Last Jedi. This part won't take that long as we've only gleaned a small morsel of information about Rey's origin, so spoiler alert, if you have not seen the movie, this section contains massive spoilers. We know that Kylo and Rey share a connection through the Force, we just don't know what that connection is. However, it's definitely mirroring the connection that Obi-Wan and Anakin once had in the Clone Wars. Just like Obi-Wan was to Anakin, Rey is hesitant to reach out to Kylo because he obviously killed Han Solo, and her first impression of him is that of someone who massacred Luke's students at his Jedi Academy. But during The Last Jedi, she seems to be clinging to this notion that there is still good in him. Obi-Wan held onto this notion for far too long with Anakin, and it didn't come to a head until Anakin massacred the younglings at the Jedi Temple and kidnapped Padme. So as Luke is unwilling to reach out to Kylo due to their sordid past, it's up to Rey to reach out to Kylo. She gives herself up to the First Order and arrives on the Dreadnought, much to the delight of Snoke. Now, after all is said and done, we're at the revelation where Kylo Ren says to Rey that she's known for a long time that her parents were just some junk traders who sold her off for alcohol money. So that's it, folks. Her parents are nobodies. Rey is a nobody, or so they would have you believe. Before I dispel this notion, let's get something out of the way because a lot of you will argue that they had a Force bond and could not lie to each other. Nay, they didn't lie to each other. In fact, they, or Kylo, very much believed in what he was telling Rey. It is the truth. From a certain point of view. Also, prior interviews about the Star Wars films have revealed that the answer to Rey's origins will be deeply and profoundly satisfying, and kids, this revelation wasn't either. So let's make it profoundly satisfying. You see, before the showdown occurred, there's a piece of information that Snoke lets loose that has me twirling around this theory, and that is the fact that he was manipulating their minds the entire time. Their Force connection or bond was a contrivance. Snoke was playing chess and he controlled the pacing of that match. What Rey saw in Kylo was exactly what Snoke wanted her to see. He wanted Rey to see Kylo had good in him, so she would reach out to him, and she did in fact reach out to him. She was there, in his grasp. What Kylo saw in Rey? Exactly what Snoke needed Kylo to see. She was a nobody. From the very beginning of their encounter in The Force Awakens, it was always, who is this girl? Or what girl? And she's untrained but stronger than she knows. It weighed on his mind for quite some time now, and after she overwhelmed him on Starkiller Base, it was leaving him baffled. How did this girl beat him? Who is she? This very confusion and doubt led to him getting weaker and weaker. Snoke manipulated the vision he saw to see a nobody. Some girl abandoned by nobodies. She came from nowhere. And it was this that steeled Kylo's resolve to be who he was destined to be. Not some Vader wannabe, he was Kylo Ren, the master of the Knights of Ren. Rey was nobody. This led to the eventual destruction of Snoke. As the rule of two in the Sith religion comes into play, the apprentice overcomes the master and thus another two is born. Kylo hoped to take Rey as an apprentice, but she didn't budge. She didn't turn, leaving him frustrated and angry and on a warpath to destroy the Resistance. This also dispels the worries that a lot of quote-unquote fans seem to have when it comes to Snoke's untimely demise. It makes sense mythologically and lore-wise. The rule of two is absolute within the Sith. Kylo had to kill his master if he was to become anything. So there's that. But what about the junk traders? Maybe it was true. True. From a certain point of view.
So what I told you was true, from a certain point of view. Luke, you're going to find that many of the truths we cling to depend greatly on our own point of view.
Let's dive into the comics really quickly here. Obi-Wan is isolated on Tatooine, watching over good old kid Luke. What's happening with him? Well, he's damaged a bit considering Order 66 and what he was left with. The mission to look after Luke was the only thing keeping him going. I'm going to make this brief and show you a few panels here detailing his exploits a bit. You can see he still retains a bit of himself in these panels, but it's this exchange with Luke's uncle that has me interested. Can you see it yet? Let me give you a few more seconds. What about now? Now? Obi-Wan seems to have a very healthy relationship with Jawas, enough to get Luke just junk parts for free. What exactly are Jawas? Junk traders. So what does this have to do with Rey? Well, isn't it obvious? Obi-Wan had 30 years of untold adventures on Tatooine. It's no secret, or should I say, it's not that difficult to imagine that he had built solid foundations with the peoples there, including junk trading with Jawas. Could it be that when the Solo Kenobi film comes out, we will get to see the Ben on Tatooine who is no longer a Jedi, sire an offspring that also ends up in the junk trading business, who in turn abandons Rey on Jakku? It's not the best of circumstances, nor is it a fairy tale story of how Obi-Wan Kenobi lives on in Rey, but it works. And so I'll leave you with that, ladies and gentlemen. While Rey's parents being junk traders and nobodies is in fact true from a certain point of view, Rey's grandfather was indeed somebody, and we'll have to wait for episode 9 for that revelation. Now with that said, what do I think personally? I think Rey is a Kenobi, undoubtedly 100% confirmed in my mind. Would I be okay with it if she was really a nobody? Absolutely, I just don't think she is. What do you guys think? Do you think Rey is nobody? Do you think she's a Kenobi? Do you still believe she can be something entirely different? Palpatine? Still thinking about Mace? In any case, we will have to wait and see. Until then, the jury is out. That's it from me, guys. If you enjoyed this theory video and want more, don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you all next time. Until then, may the Force be with you.